Thank you for Sorry. Wrong thing. Hello and welcome to Twin Tigers Data. My name's Thomas Kistner and let's get started. Today we will be talking about the almighty Paladin. Who are they? Well, they're the guardians of faith, those who undo all wrongs in the world, and also the biggest rule followers in the game, for the most part. Known best for smiting down the evildoers and demons that want to say, "Fuck you, I'm gonna destroy you." Never trust them when it comes to unlawful events like kidnapping the princess to pickpocketing an idiot. Also, rarely expect them to get a joke that somebody says. What can they do? Well, they use all armor and shields, and also they can use all weapons, considering the fact that they haven't made an exotic weapon yet in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. They know where all celestial, fiend, or undead creatures are within 60 feet. They can heal allies a certain amount of hit points. They gain a few listed fighting styles that the fighter has, which are defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, and protection. They are known as divine spellcasters, being able to gain a certain number of spells that they can cast per day. They can deal extra radiant damage to evil enemies. They are immune to diseases and remove them from allies. They add bonuses to the allies around you. Now, in D&D 5th edition, the specialization for the characters, instead of being called specializations, they are called oaths, and each oath has its own series of requirements that you must do. For example, the Oath of Devotion. You are not allowed to lie or cheat. You can't be afraid to act. However, you have to be wary at the same time. Aid others and protect those who can't aid themselves. Treat others as equals no matter what, and be responsible for all actions that you do. Then, ancients, keep the hope alive in everybody. Keep the good alive in the world. Enjoy the good things in life, like beer, song, and coitus. Inspire others to protect the light and good of the world. Next up, vengeance. When choosing to fight either your mortal enemy or someone else, you are required to choose your mortal enemy. Show no mercy against your sworn enemies. Enemies are your first problems. Secondly, help those who have suffered from you not killing your foes quick enough. Next up, the Oath of Conquest. Defeat your enemies. Do not just defeat your enemies, humiliate them. Once you conquer them, rule with your own words being the law, and beat all who challenge you. Challenge your rule. So if you defeat an enemy, if someone comes up and manages to beat you, you kind of failed as a paladin until you beat them back. Redemption. Violence is your last option, not your first. It is the environment that makes people evil, so you should set an example for others. Be patient for changes that will come, and be honest with yourself and others. Crown. Follow the law. Your word must be followed to the point. None of it should be faltered. You do what has to be done, and you have to accept exactly what you have done. Devotion. Channel Divinity. You can add your charisma modifier to your damage, or you can turn fiends or undead creatures. Allies around you can't be charmed. Always under protection from the spell known as Protection from Good and Evil. And also you can become a bright light that deals radiant damage and also gain advantage on saves from spells casted by fiends and undead. The Ancients Oath. Gain resistance to spells for yourself and your allies around you. Can't be magically aged or suffer from the negatives of old age. If you drop to 1 HP, you can drop to 1 HP instead of 0 HP. Transform into nature itself and gain the following. Regain 10 hit points every turn. Cast 1 action spells as bonus action spells instead. Enemies receive disadvantage on saves against your spells and also your Channel Divinity. With your Channel Divinity, you can possibly restrain your enemy or turn fiends and fiends. Now, there could be another creature that I accidentally meant to type in there. It's probably fiends and undead. Vengeance. Move after making an attack of opportunity equal to half your movement speed. Enter a mode where you gain a flight speed of 60 feet. And enemies within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom save or be frightened immediately as soon as you activate this ability. Channel Divinity. Make enemies possibly frightened, giving fiends and undead disadvantage when you use this ability. Gain advantage on attacks. Also, make an attack against an enemy that makes an attack against you that are underneath this Channel Divinity. Conquest. Around you, creatures are frightened and take psychic damage equal to half your Paladin level. Those who hit you take psychic damage equal to your charisma modifier. For 10 rounds, you gain resistance to all damage. Make an additional attack, and also you crit on 19 to 20. And this is the exact same thing as the ability, the modes of the previous two that I was talking about. Now, for your Channel Divinity, you can add plus 10 to hit, or you can choose to make creatures within 30 feet of you make a wisdom save or be frightened for 10 rounds. Redemption. Up to 30 feet, take all damage from an enemy dealt to another enemy. I'm sorry, I think that was supposed to be dealt to an ally from an N. You can make an enemy deal damage to another enemy. You regain HP up to 1d6 plus half your Paladin level. I believe per round or similar to that. Resist all damage, and enemy creatures that hit you takes half their damage in radiant damage. Half the damage dealt to you in radiant damage back to them. Channel Divinity. For 10 minutes, gain plus 5 to persuasion checks, and when an enemy attacks an ally, they must make a wisdom save or take radiant damage. The Oath of the Crown, and the final one that I have for you guys today. You can take the damage in place of another ally in a 5-foot area around you. Add advantage on saving throws against being stunned or paralyzed. For 1 hour, you can have advantage on non-magical slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning damage, and allies have advantage on death saving throws and wisdom saves. Finally, for the Channel Divinity, you can willfully give HP to any creature equal to 1d6 plus your charisma modifier, Or you can challenge an enemy and make them possibly unable to run more than 30 feet away from you. Who should you play? Well, what does your party primarily need? Do they need a brawler, a healer, a booster? What does your DM seem to throw at you the most? Do they seem to throw weak enemies that deal a whole bunch of damage, making you need to be a healer? Or do they send some pretty heavy HP guys that make you think, yeah, I need to be a brawler? How can you help everyone out the most? And how does the Paladin act around others? Is he more godly and noble? Is he fun to be around? Consider this when you're trying to build your Paladin right as soon as he gains his devotion or oath. Now, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hey, if you want to share my awful, no good, very bad videos, go ahead. I don't care. I'm an open book. Please remember to game safe and have some fun out there. Adios.